All right, we are live and excited to be here. Todd Cahill, the host of the You vs. You show. And if you're watching us, thank you so much for dialing in. We have an amazing guest today. But before we get to our amazing guest, if this is your first time watching this, definitely excited for you to be on the show today. And this is called the You vs. You show, basically from the book You vs. You, Ways to Kick Your Own Ass and Win. And right now, there is a great opportunity for all of us to win in our emotions, win in our battles that we face, our financial battles, our relationship battles, our health battles, even down to our persona battles. We have so much time right now on our hands being quarantined all over the world. And I'm dialing in from Chicago, Illinois, which is America. And we're going to go all the way to British Columbia today to talk to this beautiful soul, Ashley LeBlanc, who I've gotten the pleasure to know just in a very short time. So privileged to have her on the show today. And Ashley is a Canadian. She has a story that I thought it was so fascinating that I wanted to share on social media on all these platforms. She is a former military person who was in the Navy, the Canadian Navy, and something happened to her in that part of her life that I want to get into today. And it really is part of the you versus you battle, because when we're dealing with things emotionally, it can really disrupt everything that we want to do physically and consciously. So the subconscious is there, so is the conscious, and we all have a past, we all have emotional baggage, we all have things that we need to address. So I'm just so appreciative of Ashley being on the show today. And I'm going to dive right in. First of all, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the call today, or the show. I'm so privileged to have you as one of my clients on Inside Out. You just got started, but you have already added so much value to not only me, but all of our clients. And it's an honor for me to interview you today. So can you just share a little bit about who you are and where you're from and a little of your background? Then we'll get into some questions.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. It's very exciting. So as you said, my name is Ashley. I live on the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Basically what happened, I joined the military when I was 19 and sailed for a number of years. And what I noticed is when I would come home, I would be just as sick at home as I was at sea. So I would have seasickness, and then I would kind of have a land sickness. And this went on for a number of years. And I finally put my foot down and said to the doctors, like, this is not normal. I need some help. And eventually figured out I had a condition called mild disembarkment syndrome, which literally means land sickness. Okay. And I knew that my body could heal itself. I just didn't have the tools, and there was interference that I could not get rid of. I needed help.
So what did this do to you negatively? Because in you versus you, we have to kind of return to the battle. So if you really looked at it back in the day when you were suffering the most, if you could return to that moment in life, what are some of the negative things that was doing to you, not just in your physical health, but also maybe on the other parts of your life?
Oh, I didn't have a life. I couldn't do anything. It would take me 3 hours to get out of bed. And I tried to go to school. I couldn't even go to yoga. I couldn't go to a yoga class because if I did the wrong move, I might be knocked down and then I couldn't get up and I'd be stuck at the yoga studio. Right. I could barely go out for coffee with friends, so I didn't have much of a social life. And
did you get this because you're out in a lot, or what do you think was the main cause of it?
Sorry, you just skipped out there for 2 seconds. Can you ask me that again?
Yeah, what was the main cause of your condition today? Was it just because you're out, or what we get a term for it?
Yeah. So what I learned after, and what I now know, is that when our bodies are under stress, and I was under a horrendous amount of stress, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, that my body actually created something to remove me from that situation. And ultimately it worked, because once I got off the ship, I never went back. But then I couldn't calibrate back. My body, it was like, oh, we're still on the ship. This is stressful. I can't do this. It's like, I haven't stepped on the ship in 3 years. Like, what's going on? Right. So I managed to eventually fix that short circuit so that I essentially got my life back, and did it holistically. And I was, the doctors, oh, we can put you on antidepressants. And I'm like, I don't want to mess with my brain chemistry. That's
Okay.
not something I want to do. Right.
So this is interesting. This is interesting now, and you can hear me okay, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay, perfect. So this is very interesting. So this is the point where everyone can relate now in certain ways. So now we could go the prescription route, the big pharma route. You have 4 or 5 symptoms, a doctor with glasses prescribes you something, whatever. But walk us through the choice that you made to be holistic, because your body heals itself naturally. Obviously, you're a big believer in that. We're going to get to exactly specifically what you do for people now because of your story, because of your suffering. Thank you. Because of your suffering now, you've been able to really change people's lives because of what you've done. So how did you pivot? Talk to me about that moment where you made a choice to heal healthy wise.
Yeah. So fortunately, even when I was a kid and my mom would take us to the doctor, she often wouldn't get the prescription filled. Right. So fortunately, I had kind of that foundational piece going for me. And I had been doing chiropractics for a few years or getting chiropractic treatments and studying it, just the philosophy of chiropractics. And they say the body can heal itself. So chiropractics is using a force from the outside to realign bones so that energy can flow. Right. And I knew somehow that was truth. That was it. That, you know, I'm not taking this white pill because not having the white pill made me sick. Like that.
So how did you know it was truth though? Like that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
It was just a decision.
One day it was like, boom, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, you're so right about your body. Our body is very intrinsic. I mean, it's heal. It does so many things that we don't even realize. Just the fact that we're alive right now and our blood's flowing from our brains to our hearts, and it's a subconscious decision. And we're having 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and you know, things we don't even realize are going on, right? So how did you really grab a hold of that knowledge to understand how powerful you versus your health is to heal yourself? Talk me through some of the things practically that you did, that if someone's watching this right now, they can actually do it too. Because I don't know about you, but let's say with conspiracy theories, you know, oh, this happens and that happens, but they don't tell us what we should do. It's so frustrating, right? Or with doctors, it's like, well, this is your problem and this is your problem. Okay, well, tell me what I got to do practically. So what did you do? I know you're not a doctor or anything, but what did you do to yourself? Obviously, you can share that on a practical side.
So a big thing was rest. I let myself sleep. And I think at that time when I when I finally got out of the Navy and was able to decompress from that, I was in bed at 10 o'clock and I would not wake up until 8 in the morning, you know, and that was normal. And that was my schedule. And, you know, if I felt like I needed to nap or have a quiet time, I would do that. You know, and what that allowed my body to do was sort through the priorities of what needed to be fixed. Right. So my guts were off. My stomach always hurt. I had headaches. So it allowed my body to just take a breath and actually sort out what was going on. Right. Diet. Right. I was very conscious about what I was eating. Very whole food. I wasn't going out and getting a pizza every Friday and, you know, cooking a lot at home, because those are the building blocks. And if you don't fuel the building blocks, then your body just will take it from somewhere, and that will cause exhaustion and you'll end up with symptoms. So lots of whole home cooked food, lots of vegetables, lots of whole grains, hydrating, always drinking good quality water. You know, we're 70 to 80%
water.
Water, right? Needs to be replenished, needs to flow. You know, I was highly toxic at that time just from living on a warship.
So let's talk about toxicity and alkaline. What causes the body to be alkaline from your experience and your knowledge? And then what are some things that causes toxicity in the body? Of course, stress and stuff. So is it just stress, or is it just obviously the air? Are we just completely screwed no matter where we live? So we have to certainly take supplements and, you know, eat the right foods, but even supplement because we're not getting the right stuff from the soils anymore. So from your perspective, what you do, share a little bit more about that if you don't mind.
So toxicity, comes in many different flavors. So it can be literally in our water, like you said, our food, the air we breathe, Wi-Fi signals. You know, we got the electronic thing going on. It could be from a relationship, right? It could be lack of relationship with yourself, right? It's basically anything that causes your body to be stressed, right? So you can, you know, I think spices are really important to have in your diet because they are the trace minerals and, you know, the vitamins that we need. And they have exceptional health benefits that we, you know, people go to school for years to study to be herbalist, right? And I know by adding them into my diet, you know, if I'm really clogged up, I'll eat cloves because it's hugely circulatory, right? So great in the winter when you're not moving so much and, you know, you got to keep your circulation going so you can keep warm and, you know, maybe you're a bit phlegmy so you can have that and it goes up into your head so that you can clear and breathe better, right?
Yeah, right. Well, so, you know, when I wrote the book, You vs. You, I've identified 12 battles that we all face. And obviously what we're talking about is you versus your health. And we all face this, but I think we get in such a confusion of like, you know, because my body's different than your body and your body's different than my body. But we need certain minerals just like everyone else. But, you know, what if the toxicity and, you know, and being, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, you know, maybe broccoli for you is not really good for you. So how do we, from your experience, like, do you take like certain testing? You know, a lot of times people are like, well, I'm a vegan, even though it's a choice, but maybe they should be a vegan. Maybe they need to eat red meat sometimes, or how it's such a mind F, you know, out there as far as health goes. And so from your practice, what you do, we're going to talk about B.E.S.T, best, in a second, but what do you recommend usually to your clientele or what you do for yourself that really has been helpful to win that battle within yourself?
That's a great question. So I agree with you 100% that I can't eat peppers, right? My body just does not digest them well. Eggplant, same thing. So I just don't eat them and that's okay. And I've had people over the years, you know, oh, but peppers are so healthy and this, but they're not for me. And that's okay because what peppers have are in other foods, right? So, you know, that's the great thing about nature is everything's in everything, just in different combinations. So part of it is just figuring out what works for you and what you like. I don't like cauliflower. I just don't, right? So, you know, if we buy it because it's on sale, I'll eat it because I understand there's a health benefit, but I'm probably not going to enjoy it as much as a butternut squash or potatoes or, you know, sweet potato or something.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in using Eat Right for your blood type as a guide. Yes.
That's a great book, by the way. That's an actual book. Yeah, it's a great book.
I've actually had a live blood analysis, which is super cool. And if you have the chance to do it, I encourage everyone to. And I'm an A type myself. And the lady who did it, she's like, don't eat peppers or eggplant. Like, worst thing you could eat for your body. You don't like beef, but you need a little bit every now and then, which brings me to my next point of listen to your body. Because once you've cleansed and tuned in enough to a certain level, it will tell you what it needs. And it'll go, I need some chocolate. And you just eat a little piece of chocolate and you're fine. You don't need to eat 6 chocolate bars or Snickers or, you know, just have some nice little dark chocolate and there's some fat and sugar in there and, you know, boom, done. Okay, cool. Next, right? I crave broccoli at times, right? I'm like, yep, I need some broccoli. We made carrot coleslaw last night. I was like, oh, this is amazing, right? Because carrots are super sweet and whatever, right? So the thing is when you have all this interference in your body, you can't listen and you can't hear. And then the messages have to get very, very loud and they look like symptoms.
So what you're promoting, even in your own practice, is promoting the balance in the body, mind, and spirit. So we're going to talk about the other two, but right now, health. And I would say inflammation, right? So that's the word I was looking for. So inflammation. I love. I never get inflamed when I eat at True Food Kitchen, but because everything is like gone, we can't eat at restaurants anymore. That stinks. But but even eating at home, like if I get inflamed the next day, like if I eat a steak and potatoes, and then the next day I'm like, oh my God, like I feel like I gotta run. I'm like holding my belly. Obviously that inflames me. So if anyone's like, well, I don't know how to get a blood test or what that looks like, or I can't get one for a while, I would just say, like you said, listen to your body. Like Asian food totally is great for me. Like ramen noodles, Asian sushi, like I feel more cut eating it after. So I think you're right. Listen to your body. Obviously your body's going to tell you through the result of what you eat. But how important, let's get into like the other side of what you do too. But with that said, how important is what you put in your body affect your mind and your spirit too? Because sometimes we just eat for eating, but we really need to eat for fuel. So talk to me a little bit about the correlation between that and that balance.
Yeah. So it's essentially healthy body, healthy mind, right? Our body is the vessel that we've, for all intents and purposes, been given this lifetime. And to what degree you take care of it is what degree your health will be. And that includes mental and spiritual health as well. Because if you're eating, say, for example, lots of dairy, you're going to be very mucusy, right? It's just, they've done studies. That's what, it causes a lot of inflammation. The inflammation causes mucus, so on and so forth.
Right.
So now your body is dealing with inflammation and toxins, and those toxins get stored in your body. And sometimes, for example, they get stored in your brain. Well, how healthy do you think you can be if your brain is dirty?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or your guts. If you have inflammation in your guts, I don't believe you can be mentally well, because serotonin, which is one of the healthy, happy hormones, is produced in the gut, up to 80% of it. Wow. And then it goes to your brain. So if you don't have a healthy gut and you can't produce serotonin, you pretty much can't be healthy on some level. Right?
So how does someone get a healthy gut? Because obviously there's been so much talk about that. Probiotics, what we eat. Your gut is your second brain. It actually thinks. So tell me about that from your own knowledge and what you've picked up from your practice and everything. Like how can someone get a healthy gut?
Yeah. So again, whole foods, right? Whole foods, spices, lots of water, right? Fiber. Throw some flaxseed in something, oatmeal, start with a bowl of oatmeal with some flaxseed in it. Like you can also put cinnamon and nutmeg and honey or maple syrup, right? And you're getting, that's basically like, in a good way, a gut bomb, right? In that it will clean your gut. And then you can, because it has to be clean before you can develop the fauna or the microbes that you need.
Right.
And then you can put in the probiotics, and you can do that through different ways. Like homemade bread with the yeast has prebiotics, which help the probiotics, sauerkraut. There's tons of food you can eat. And then I actually take a probiotic every day. So, a high quality one, you have to make sure it's a high quality one. And, it can take years to a decade, right? And then if you take antibiotics, you run the risk of totally cleaning out your gut of all those good things that your body needs. So, often if you have to take them, take a probiotic to hopefully, come behind it and help, regulate everything normally.
Very cool. Yeah. So we all have that issue for sure. We're all going to deal with that. And let's talk about because that, when you're talking about this food that's gentle, that's this healing system with food. But now let's talk about the mind. So, for me, like my mind has been such a big deal for many, many years. When I really researched what meditation does 5-6 years ago, when I read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, it totally changed my whole thinking of just achievement, because achievement is, for me, is having a healthy mind first and foremost, because you can have the cars, the homes, the bank account, but still be massively depressed and even suicidal. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your work, what you do for people, and the gentle healing system called B.E.S.T. Okay, you can describe what B.E.S.T is, how that you're helping people address stress and promote balance in their body, mind, and spirit, and how you can really, instead of all this disturbances that we have, like how can we create that flow instead of dis-ease, how can we be more at ease?
Yeah. So as you said, I am a master B.E.S.T practitioner and an animal B.E.S.T practitioner, because our furry friends need it too. So what I do is I work with your subconscious through muscle testing to find out the emotional trigger of an inappropriate stress response. So what happens is we have these experiences in our life and we have emotions that get cemented into our brain to create neural pathways, right? So let's say you're having this great experience of painting and you're loving it and you're enjoying creation, and your partner comes in the room and goes, "Oh, what's that piece of crap? It's garbage." Like, oh, so now you've linked joy, creation, happiness, creativity, hopeful in with you suck, right? Wow. So what happens then is as you go through your life and you have more experiences, maybe like this or not, maybe you're starting to get close to creation. So you're like, "Oh, I have this great business idea. That would be awesome. Okay, I'm going to call this person and talk to them about it and get a website." And then you go, "Ooh, nope, something's telling me I just shouldn't do it."
Yeah.
Right? Because your brain goes, "No, the last time we were creative."
Right. And then people, though, so many people, it's so true on a holistic level, but then they bring God into it. Well, maybe it's not God's will.
Totally.
Oh, maybe the spirit's not leading me, which is total BS. A lot of times it's just more like because of what you're talking about. So first of all, probably need to address why a partner would say that's a piece of crap.
That's a whole different, we'll just put that over here.
And just get rid of that person. Totally. Secondly, because we sometimes choose, obviously, because of our emotions are so screwed up, we choose the wrong partner, we choose the wrong boyfriend, girlfriend, abusive, verbally abusive, and we kind of get used to it, like it's the norm.
That's how our parents treated us, and that's what's normal to me, and it's okay, I think, and it's okay until it's not. And so what I help people do is I take those emotions and I unlink them from the stress response, so that now when they go to create the website, they go, "Oh, this is great. Oh, I love purple. Let's put some purple in there," and da-da-da-da-da. And then boom, they have a website and off they go. Right. But before, they had creativity stuck with that, like emotion. So they couldn't live their life and they couldn't be happy.
Yeah, so I love your bio. A couple words kind of attracted me to your bio that I haven't heard in a while. Can you talk to me about, it says, "We put your body into the stress response. Then I use my hands as jumper cables to restore balance by removing the interference of the trigger emotion, rebooting." So that was a very cool word. Rebooting your brain and body, bringing you and your body into the present time. So talk to me about rebooting. So obviously I have an iPhone, and sometimes I have to reboot it, turn it off, and then wait, and then turn it back on to get better reception. So how can that work with the brain or a mind? That'd be interesting to hear.
Essentially, yeah, totally. So when I have my hands on people, which hasn't happened in a little bit, given the circumstances, you're laying on a table and essentially I'm telling you to put your eyes in a certain direction. And I ask your body all of this, right? So none of it's me, I'm asking your body.
Right.
And we're tricking your body into thinking, "Oh, I'm back when I was, 5 years old and my dad hit me and da-da-da-da-da."
Right.
And then I use the magnetism of my fingers on certain points that your body has told me, "Hey, touch me over here." And when you have a pulse and it's, erratic, and when it synchronizes, your nervous system kind of has gone, "Oh, oh, I'm laying on a table. Oh, I'm in a safe place. Oh, okay, thank God." Right? And what we've done is we've switched your body from fight or flight into rest and healing. Because you can't create anything when you're fight or flight, right? Because your body's like, "We're running from a bear. We're running from a bear. We're running from a bear. I need to survive. I'm running from a bear," right? And what this can look like is lack of digestion, headaches. Not sleeping is a huge fight or flight, right? You can't sleep when a bear is running after you, because then it would, if you lay down and sleep, it would eat you and then you
Right.
die, right?
Right.
So, but in today's society, those bears could be the tax collector. It could be an ex-husband or wife. It could be a child. It could be that guy that cut you off in traffic that for some reason you just like lost your mind, right?
Yep.
And you can't figure out what's going on. So something's triggered. I put your body back into that response, jumper cable you.
Yeah.
And then your body goes, oh, I'm in present time K. Great. Adrenaline, you can calm down. Digestion, a lot of people's stomachs rumble, right? Oh, sorry. I'm like, that's okay. Your digestion came back online. So now you can actually digest the food and absorb what you've eaten, right?
Wow.
Because eating good food is the first step. Now you have to digest it and actually absorb it, right?
That's amazing. So with now here's the question. So, I mean, obviously the world needs a bit of a reboot. And, what can people practically do? I'm a type of person when I listen to a podcast or I listen to a Facebook Live, like I love to be educated. Number one, I love to learn new things. I love self-awareness, but I'm an action-oriented guy. So I like to take something from this interview and I'd be like, well, obviously you've given us a lot of action about digestion, about the right foods and blood types, but rebooting right now, what can we practically do to press the off button and then on button again of our own mind, going through so much negativity? Is it literally just turning off our notifications, not turning on the news, making bread? That sounds really peaceful. Making a cake or doing things that we maybe going for a hike, like getting out of this matrix of the to-do lists and the internet and what's going on. So what are you doing right now, and what would you maybe suggest someone that's watching this that just fight or flight right now? Oh, they can't even like pay attention to this interview. They're like,
yeah, exactly. So everything you said, awesome. Do that for sure. The number one, the easiest number one thing you can do is breathe. Just stop and just take a few deep breaths, right? Because what happens, and one of the things that happens in fight or flight, is our breath comes up to here in the top of our lungs. So and you may not realize you're doing it, right?
Right.
Chances are it's something to that flavor, right? So what you're doing by taking deep breaths through your nose, and I actually have a video of this on my website, omwellnessvictoria.com. What you're doing is you're actually slowing the breath down, but you're also pushing it to the bottom of your lungs. And the bottom of your lungs have tons and tons of nerve endings that are attached to your parasympathetic nerve system, which is the healing and the rest. So what you're doing when you're pushing your breath down to the bottom of your lungs is you're actually kind of poking the parasympathetic side going, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. And you can actually shift it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. That's awesome. So I'd love to know, like, how do people follow you and maybe even describe a little bit of what you do in your own words? Because obviously you're very unique. And like I said, when I say it's an honor to work with you as your coach on the more conscious side of just taking your message to the world bigger, and because obviously you want to help people. I mean, you're just truly have a huge heart. So what is it that you do specifically on how you help people, and where can people follow you, and where can people find you, obviously on the methods and social media and stuff?
Yeah. So what my kind of specialty is, first off, my passion is helping people sleep. I am a sleeper. I do around 9 hours a night, like always. And it breaks my heart when people can't sleep, because it's so important for detox and health. And so that's, if you don't sleep, call me, we'll sort something out, we'll get you treatments. It's unnecessary because we're built to sleep, right? What I do is I help people find the cracks in their foundation. So what that means is that, what have you eaten today? How much water have you drank? Did you stop and do your 3 deep breaths today? Did you hit the floor running and haven't stopped to eat until 5:30, right? So I use B.E.S.T as the system to immerse people in their foundation, because if you can't, think because you didn't sleep, how well do you think you're going to communicate with clients?
Not very good. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
If you can't focus and think about like, okay, what's the question this person's actually asking me?
Mm-hmm.
How can you answer it for them and thereby focus on them? And, they'll feel that subconsciously. Right. So, and like, how well can you treat a client if your stomach is growling or if you're completely bloated? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I do is I take people where they are and I go, okay, well, where do you want to go? Here, great. I want to sleep through the night for 8 hours. I want to run a marathon. I want to bake bread. I want to, make this my norm. And I bridge the gap.
Okay.
Right.
Very cool.
And I use B.E.S.T as the subconscious piece of that. I believe you have to do subconscious and conscious. It's
What does that stand for? What's B.E.S.T stand for? Just so people know.
Bioenergetic synchronization technique.
Okay, cool. And then you do that on people. Can you do that over the phone on people? Or
I can. Yes,
okay, cool.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to getting my distance practice, as I call it, up and running. Yeah. So it's just as effective. It just looks a little bit different because we're, have the interface, right?
Absolutely. So, that's super cool. Yeah, that's amazing. So you hit a couple you hit a couple of chords. You struck a couple of chords with me as far as branding. I love your brand. You find the cracks in people's foundations. So that's super cool. And you really focus on sleep as the foundation, because there's probably 1 out of 2 people in this world that just can't sleep very well. They'll stay up late. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. I mean, I honestly haven't really met anyone other than probably you and my wife that guaranteed, no matter what, 8 hours minimum.
If I go 3 nights with 8 hours, I'm like cranky on day 3. Yeah. I'm in a deficit. This is unacceptable. I'm going to have a nap.
Right.
Like, non-negotiable. Yeah.
Right. Which is, I think, tempting to not sleep because we have our phones. I'm guilty of it too. I like to watch like certain shows at night when everything's quiet, just kind of veg and just laugh, whatever. Then I'm like, oh shoot, it's 2 a.m. And then I'll get it like 9 in the morning or 8 a.m. And then I'll coach people. And then I found myself rarely, but like I'll maybe get angry at, something quickly and then like, maybe I just need to meditate. No, I just probably need more sleep.
It causes a blood sugar situation at times, right? So you kind of have the spikes and the crashes, and that's not the healthiest habit, perhaps. And we've all done it, right? Yeah. Because it happens, and you open Facebook and you're like, that's a cool article, and look at that. Oh, that person, and it's fine. And just know that maybe it's not the way that you should live every day.
Right. I love that. So that's awesome. So again, where can people follow you on Instagram? What's your handle again?
OM Wellness Vic.
OM Wellness Vic, VIC. Yeah. Okay, like for Victoria, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, hey, Ashely, it's been amazing interviewing you. It's also been amazing getting to know you very briefly, but at the same time, getting to know you long term. And what you do is very meaningful. You're not selling tires or anything. Not that that's not meaningful, but it's just like you're really changing lives. So if anyone that's watching this on the replay or live, definitely feel free to reach out to Ashely. This is obviously your Facebook handle. You can find her on Facebook right here. You can find her on Instagram. And then what's your website again? Is it omwellnessvic.com or
omwellnessvictoria.com?
Victoria.com. Yep. Okay. omwellnessvictoria.com. So awesome. British Columbia, beautiful place. Been there twice. Super beautiful to be there. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks so much for being on the show today. And guys, get some sleep.
Breathe. Breathe.
Yeah.
We're all going to be okay.
A walk. Yeah, we're all going to be okay.
Turn off the news. Please just turn off the news. Turn off the news and breathe. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Those news people are making a lot of money sharing fear with everybody. You got to look at it in a different way other than, this is just the news. There's always an agenda behind that. So thank you so much for being on, everybody. Thank you so much, Ashely, as well. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow on the U vs. U show. Thanks so much.